Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Glenn Osera, president of the Brooklyn Tea Party. Today is September 28, 2025. We want to thank everyone who attends our meetings always and who is attending our meeting today. We're going to have our special guest speaker for the Brooklyn Tea Party, Gonzalo Duran, or how do you say it?
That's right.
Duran? Good. Gonzalo Duran, who is running for New York City Public Advocate against Jumaane Williams.
Oh, that's a slam dunk, yeah.
So, God help us. If Jumaane gets in for a second, third, I don't know, it seems like a third term. But, second term, I guess, the term limits, so they stay until they vote, extend them again. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, give a round of applause to our guest speaker, Gonzalo Duran. Way over. Here we go. We do that.
Well, thank you, everyone. I appreciate for you guys coming. I know how hard it is to run a club and to get individuals to come on a regular basis. So I know how hard that is. So for you guys to continuously do that, I've heard great things about you guys. I apologize. This is the first meeting that I've been to. I have tried to come to others, but the schedule is always, difficult to match up with. But I finally made this one. It was actually my day off today. But I made sure when I got the invitation to set everything aside to come. That being said, I see a lot of familiar faces, so that tells you two things. One, I am very active in the city or all over the city, but at the same time, there are so many opportunities out there. How do you pick which one to go to and how avid you can be? So in this last couple of months, I've been to Brooklyn many times. But alignment with the calendars and everything makes it a little difficult. So backtracking, who I am and what I'm doing here. My name is Gonzalo Duran and I'm running for public advocate for New York City. A little bit about my background, thank you. A little bit about my background. I'm a former United States Marine Sergeant.
Yeah! Hoorah!
I'm an Iraq veteran. Thank you. During my time in the military, I was an administrator, so I spent my time building up units from the bottom up and dealing with issues from pay, housing to personnel. I did that in logistical parts and intel units, in combat zones, and other places like recruiting stations. So that's the bulk of my administrative background. Since then, I've been coming back home. I struggled, I had difficulties. But I eventually got myself back up, not because I didn't know what I wanted to do or how to get there, but because of cracks in the system that were in place that I didn't know about. When I situated myself, I figured out the problems that there were with the system for a veteran coming back. One of the biggest problems was using the GI Bill as income so that we can get housing. Now, that may not seem too obscured right now, but I can tell you it was an issue 10 years ago, and it was a across the country issue. I used my experience getting national media, building up an organization, and then finding how to solve that problem. I'm happy to say that although I struggled for only a few months, once I got myself situated, I picked up and was able to help bring attention to the problem. And then in 2017, local law 119 was amended, and they changed basically the law for New York to have the GI Bill as credible as income. So when it comes to the nonprofit world, I have done not only that, help push legislation, but also I've worked every facet that there is to deal with New York City as a general aspect. Once again, dealing with pay, housing, individuals, case management, across the board for the last 12 years. So we've been in operation for that long. I won't go too much into details with that, but once again, I have a resume that shows that the job that I'm walking into for public advocate fits the billing. My resume fits very well for there. Also, to attach with that, I'm also a chaplain, and on my spare time on the weekends, I volunteer as a mentor for at-risk teens. So that's me in a nutshell right now. What puts me in the political aspect? I'm the vice chairman for the Bronx Conservative Party. I'm the district leader for the 79th Assembly District. In 2023, I decided to be in the forefront and run for city council. And during that time period, I was building up my resume. I had run before, but I never made the ballot. When 2023 came around, I knew I wanted to make the ballot. I ran as a conservative, registered with the Conservative Party, and I learned the process more hands-on. I did know some of it before that hand, but I didn't know the intricate parts, so I decided to get more fine-tuned into it. The following year, I ran for 2024 for Congress. I made the Republican and the Conservative line, and in this particular year, I'm running for Public Advocate under the Republican, the Conservative, and an independent line called the United Alliance Party. So what I've been doing is I've been building up my resume, my portfolio when it comes to why I want to run, how I want to run, and getting to the position to run. The reason why I know so many individual faces, not because I talk or because of the work that I do, but specifically for key situations. When I came in 2023, the Republicans and Conservatives weren't too active in the Bronx, so I decided to push a little bit forward. Using my background with my community work, journalism, media, this every year for the Conservative Party itself, we've increased our percentage. So let's say for the Bronx, just the Bronx alone for the Conservative Party, we increased our numbers, roll call numbers, by over 30% in the last 2 years. If you count for attrition, it's about over 10%, but you have to take account for that as well. We went from our vacancy positions to being somewhere in the 20s, 30s to now 85%. Having and getting to the other percentage to be at 100 would almost be impossible because most Republicans and Conservatives, we don't cover that many ground in the county committee level or the ED level as well. But I hope to help bring more attention to those issues, and here's how I've done that. The reason why I'm standing here running for the second highest position, not is because my background, not just because I'm a veteran, not because of the nonprofit work, but what I've done to help build the foundation. Every year, like I said, when I was building the numbers of our party, filling the vacancies, increase on our numbers county-wide, I've also been doing that citywide, trying to help Manhattan build up their numbers, Queens and Brooklyn build up their numbers, so that this particular year, I think I helped roughly 26 candidates make the ballot. 13 for the Conservatives, 7 for my independent line, and the rest were Republicans. Now, obviously I can't get their signatures on hand, but I can walk with them, I can talk on their behalf, give them information, knock on doors, do phone banking to make sure they can get those numbers on the ballot. So that's how that happened. So helping 26 individuals run for office this year means one specific thing which I think should be accounted for, and I'm glad it's being filmed right now. That means there are 26 Democrats that are running that are being opposed, that are not walking straight into the job. And that's something that hasn't happened. If you look at the numbers trending backwards the previous years, that's a problem that we had. Another issue that we had this year was getting media attention. Now, I can't talk about every single individual, but for the 26 individuals that I helped, let's say one of them was Elijah here, one of your friends, not only has he received television, but journalism as well, where the major networks won't help us. On the side note, that's where I've come in to help the candidates. Now, I've kept that separate from my work to make sure that everything is proper. But once again, if we don't have those foundational pieces, then we can increase later on. So in that capacity this year, just to give you an idea how broad in I've gone, let's say internationally, it's easier for me to get international news to cover what I'm doing than it is from my local news. So this year particularly, I have had South America, China, and Italy come personally to do interviews with me. Let's say for like the Amsterdam News, when they did the Voters' Rights Act, I think it was the 60th anniversary, 65th anniversary. They interviewed Chuck Schumer, and then they interviewed me. So once again, keeping the level of the playing field, our parties into that same dynamics. So that's where we're missing. We're not sitting at the table in those types of aspects. but I've been doing my best to try to make sure that we are. I'm happy to say two things additionally that one, that I'm announcing here as my first forum in a public meeting, and one that I just got the news yesterday. The first one is my request for endorsement through President Trump is currently at the White House, so I'm hoping to build some momentum so that that can get approved. And second,
Maybe you could help me.
well, maybe, I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know. You know, that would depend on a lot of factors, but the whole point is, if you're pushing to that level, then it should be a possibility. That's what I tell everybody. I've gotten to that level for a reason, and if you guys are trying to get to that level, then taking the steps to get there is an important factor. The second thing, this is the first that I'm breaking and is being recorded, so the faster the better. I just got approved, or I just accepted my invitation to New York 1 for the debates for public advocate. That means, unfortunately, it's not going to be CFB regulated, so Jumaane Williams won't be forced to come, but New York 1 is pushing forward regardless, which is a good thing. That means every candidate that's on the ballot will be able to speak. So this is where the foot soldiers, this is where we as a collective group need to push and say, Jumaane Williams, you need to take this debate serious and should show up. Normally, situations like this, across the board, for the city council candidates, there's nothing forcing the candidates to have a debate. And most groups or associations are, the candidates or incumbents avoid, and then that doesn't allow the other candidates to speak at all, because normally there's a charter or some kind of nonprofit rule in place that if you don't have the one or the other, then you can't have none of it. So that's another factor that we've done that we need to break. In my capacity as a civic leader, I've held multiple events and forums for candidates across the city. The biggest one is the Viable Candidate event. I've had multiple candidates here across the city for the Republicans, Conservatives, Independents, and Common Sense Democrats participating. So once again, those are things that have put me in a position where I can ask for certain things or put myself in a position where it's taken more serious than others. Not that not everybody doesn't deserve a serious opportunity, but once again, we have to hit certain wickets to make a certain level of noise, and until we do that collectively, nothing, in my opinion, nothing will change. We just found out Mayor Adams has dropped out. It's an embarrassment moment that we still have Cuomo in there. It doesn't make any sense to me. It should be a one-on-one battle with Curtis and Mandami, but that's where we are right now. Collectively, if we do not support our candidates, then we will come into dead spots in the coming years. The party leadership, most of them are already just considering, the governorships already. They've already, taken away their viewpoints at the city level. So if we don't do that ourselves,